black men have, are known to have larger dicks. So therefore the women have
that makes sense.
Bigger holes.
Hear me out. Why is it that every time I open this app, someone has something to say about black women?
Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. My name is Princess Banigo and you're welcome to Bani Talks. So this young Asian woman went to Under the Influence podcast, yes, and she had a lot to say about black women. Now, this is something I don't understand. You're Asian and then you're coming into a public space to talk about something that you saw somewhere, and it has to do with black women's cushy, their cookies, and all you have to say is that, oh, you saw it somewhere, oh, you guys are probably gonna cut it out, but you said not to cut it out, and then you left it and said black women cookies are big because they said the black men, they carry big whatever. And then you're saying that black women cookies are also big. Like how will you sit down and talk about someone's cushy? Like, oh, you saw it somewhere. So I mean, how should that even be a public conversation? For us in Nigeria, those are the kind of conversation you had behind the scene. It's not something you bring on social media. Now I've seen people come outside and give diverse talks concerning this, and I'm here with those videos. Let's go listen to them.
Yeah, you guys, okay, I'm gonna say something kind of wild, but it's because I saw it somewhere, but I don't know if we might have to cut it out. But anyways, someone said that the reason why some girls' vagina is tighter than others is because No. It has nothing to do with that. They said that it's because like ethnicity wise, like black men have are known to have larger dicks, so therefore the women have
that makes sense.
Bigger holes.
And then that doesn't make sense.
Hear me out. Why is it that every time I open this app, someone has something to say about black women? Unprovoked. Like without any encouragement, without being questioned, without being inquired, you have something to come and say about black women. Can we leave us alone, please? Can we live? Can we exist? Can we breathe? Can we walk the same planet without being judged or criticized for anything that it is that we do? The world would be a better place if you just shut
the Esther podcast situation. I think that there's been some great think pieces on it, but I'd like to share a story with you. You can do what you will with it. Not that long ago, we love to go to the pool here in Azure. Sometimes it's the only thing you can do. And I remember changing in front of my really good girlfriends. And I remember her kind of just like gasping and being like, "You are brown." And I said, "Yeah, what color did you think they would be?" And she was just like, almost just like this astonishment. And I don't know how that is possible, but I do wonder, and I'm concerned there's just like a general unawareness, like really where people have never looked genuinely at brown people. Yeah.
Let me get this straight. I get to be dehumanized, experience misogyny, experience racism, be sexualized by all men, including my own men in my race. I also get to be stereotyped as the angry black woman, ghetto, loud, ratchet, and nappy-headed. Oh, and lazy. And now we've added a new one. Now I also have to worry about men looking downstairs, wondering, how loose is it? Thank you, Esther.
I love how black women came together to shut down that crappy men's podcast. We shut them down so bad, baby. Them views is cut, okay? Them followers were drained, okay? I just love when black women, when we come together and we say, "Are you talking about us?" Shut that down. Shut that down. You thought you was gonna key about us and we came and we destroyed? That's all I ever want. That's all I ever fight for. That's it. For black women to do what we do best. Be the best and shut down the worst. If we could come together on more things like this, we could conquer the world. We could conquer everything. Nobody would be able to try us. Black American women have so much power. Like us alone, we have so much power on the industry, on everything, okay? I wholeheartedly believe if black women came together on most things, we could shut down entire brands, okay? That were racist, that didn't like black women. We could literally shut it down. But we all got to get on one accord, and that's all my page is about, get on one accord. But anyway, shout out to us.
I've had a few videos come up on my For You page recently talking about Esther from UTI. I couldn't remember it. And I feel like people are like, oh, I've never heard that, like, stereotype she's making up. But I feel like she's reverse psychologying with one I've heard, which I've literally been told by like people, like even when I was a child I heard this. It was like that basically like they'll be like, oh yeah, Asian men have small D's, so Asian women have small. And it's so like really weird and like definitely like not actually based in any scientific reality. And I feel like Esther just like reverse psychology this and applied it to Black women, which she has no business doing. But this is why I feel like I made a video a while back that I was talking about racial pick-me's, and people didn't really get what I was talking about. But I feel like they're really dangerous because they will use stereotypes about their race to try to make themselves look better and more appealing, while like enforcing the harmful aspects of those stereotypes against other people and even against their own people. And this is why I think it's really important to remember that even if a stereotype seems good on the surface, it's still not one you really want to embrace, because it's often used to weaponize against other people. Like for instance, the whole model minority myth towards Asian Americans, which even if you look at that disaggregated data, you see that most Asian Americans are not like doing above white people. It's like Chinese and Indians, which has to do with the way the government allows those immigrants to come in. With the Hart-Celler Act, only people with like qualified jobs, like high skill education, were allowed to actually immigrate to this country and become citizens. And with the Indian government, they only allowed people to leave India if they had really high education, because they wanted to make sure that the like global impression of India wasn't like of a poor worker, but of like a high tech like industry kind of worker, like the very like educated computer science types. And you see that with China as well. So the ones who can come immigrate nowadays are usually highly educated or skilled, not like the poor laborers that used to come over in like the 1800s. And that kind of shapes the model minority myth. And everybody else is doing about on par with white people, or you realize that a lot of Southeast Asians and Pacific Islanders are doing like way like in poverty and dropping out of high school and have high rates of being not that well off. And it's completely missed because they look at the average of all Asian Americans, including like South Asians, East Asians, Southeast Asians, Pacific Islanders. It's like a really big group of people, and the people who do need help kind of get missed because they're just grouped in with the rest of everyone else. And then the whole model minority myth thing is used to basically shame Black people, and like, oh, why are you not doing as well as Asians? Because, you know, you're both minorities, but clearly the American dream can happen. Well, Asians mostly didn't come to this country, couldn't hold citizenship until like the 1900s. And even then, like, it wasn't until I believe like 1965 that there was changed like restrictions for immigration. And before then it was like you couldn't immigrate if you couldn't speak English or pass like language exams, or like they had so many laws excluding citizenship for non-white people, not just with even with like Black people. Dred Scott case, like you couldn't be citizen even if you were born in America as long if you were not white. And we really forget that part of history. So when you look at Asians' success, it's mostly because they were already successful in their home country before they came here. It's like they came from middle-class backgrounds. They weren't the ones who were like refugees or in poverty for the most part. I didn't come across that well-spoken in this video, and like I don't have as many sources on hand because I'm just kind of like talking right now, not based off of like researching something and trying to share about it, but just like I'm so frustrated that there's still people in the Asian American community who like try to embrace certain stereotypes that literally come from the degradation of our people. And like the whole like, oh, the Asians are more successful, that was used to spread yellow peril fears that we were going to come take over America with our cheap fast labor. And the whole like hypersexualization of Asian women was used to like restrict our citizenship, immigration, justify crimes against women, like. And it's just like they don't even see the way that like anti-Blackness affects us too. And it's just like, even if you're not going to be against like racism for the sake of moral reasons, at least be against racism for the fact that it does not benefit you to side with like white supremacy. Like, I don't know, it's maybe they just grew up and they're too comfortable in their little bubble of like Orange County, like SoCal, just Asian. But even then, like a lot of civil rights movements came out of like Southern California. Like you'd think they would know that.
I don't remember where I was specifically, but when I was little, somewhere in the US, I was around 8 or 9 years old, I was in an adult conversation that I shouldn't have been in. It's not like these grown-ups were talking to me, but I was in the vicinity and I could hear basically what they were saying. And I remember at the time it was a group of black men talking to each other. And this was not a kid-friendly area. They were talking about women in the most naughty way and all the ways that you could think they were. And then they started talking about specifically women genitalia. And at some point, I remember one of them saying, "Hey, haha, Asian women have sideways genitalia." Yeah, this is where we're going. And at the time, again, I was a kid and I should not have been around to hear that, but at the time I still had a general understanding of women genitalia. I'm Haitian, so in my culture, like, women tend to be naked around other women all the time. Like, if my mom's taking a shower, she would be naked, I would see her body. If my aunt's taking a shower, she would be naked, I would see her body. It's not something that's rare for us, most of us at least. And with the brain of a little girl, even with that little understanding of the human body, I had a general understanding that even though these things might vary in like size and color, they're still kind of laid out the same. And so I thought that was kind of silly. At the time, I was too young to understand that it was a racist and a sexist comment made by that man. And, you know, I forgot about it. Years later, I would be in college listening to 3-6 Mafia, Half on a Sack, you know, the one that you guys liked. There's a part of the song that basically says that same sexist and racist stereotype against Asian women. And I must say again, it is racist and sexist. But not only that, it's ridiculously stupid. It's one of the most dumbest and ignorant things I've ever heard in my life, and I still stand by that. So, you know, now that I'm 25 years old, I would not go to a podcast and talk about Asian women's genitalia in the first place. And even if I find myself in a conversation with a man or a woman who said that, I would probably deter from engaging in conversations that are sexist and racist towards Asian women, especially with the layer of humiliation that comes with what is being said. Not only are you speaking about somebody's private area, somebody's intimate area, because you shouldn't in the first place, but you're also feeding misogynoir, specifically misogynoir, because one of the best ways to dehumanize women and make them feel less than for men and other women to do is to talk about their body, especially that area. And call me sensitive if you want to, but I think it's extremely dehumanizing to talk about a group of people like that, even if the statement is ridiculously fucking stupid.
Well, looky here. I gave my opinion about how black people felt with cultural appropriation when the boba tea thing came out. And I said that Asian people don't really rock with us like that. Like, not all of them, but there's been some experiences where they really don't mess with us, right? And now this creator or podcaster is talking about black women and they moose knuckle. And how their moose knuckles are all big. Like, we just got these wall-to-wall vaginas. And in order to make herself look better and to be a pick-me, she's Asian. And I have come to the realization, people talk about black women because we are the topic of interest at any point. People need to hear from the black women. We can't mind our business without being included. There's nothing we do that they don't want to pull us in. Why? Because we make it happen. We are the topic of discussion everywhere. And if you want to become popular, talk about black women. Why? Because no other group of people will get you the same reaction or make you go viral. So I just have come to the point, I would just represent black on black on black on black on black. I will say it till it becomes a curse word. Because at this point, y'all need us. So the conversation ain't gonna end. It's gonna always be what black women doing, even though they minding their business.
So this creator crashed out because of Esther and Under the Influence podcast. And I think it's over for that podcast. Because the way that people are reacting to what Esther said is actually valid. It actually makes sense why people are crashing out. This creator said that next time she sees her, it's on site, and she wasn't even playing. And am I mad because of that? No, I'm not mad. My For You page on Reels is dark humor. what she said was so out of pocket that it even passed dark humor. It was that statement she said past everything I have seen that I in my For You page that makes me go like, whoa, that's a little on the line there. It's crazy what she does, bro, or what she was able to do. She made a whole group of women mad at her.
What this whole situation with Under the Influence and what was said about black women's private parts really reminds me of is a time in secondary school where I was put under a line of questioning by a guy who was asking me, so what color is it? And his whole reasoning for asking me was because he had watched Corn and he was just like, well, I've realized that it's kind of giving like two shades and I just wanted to ask you, what color is it? Because I can't decide, and I think I've decided for myself that I'm just not attracted to it because it just looks disgusting in comparison to, you know, other races. Black bodies, specifically black women bodies, will always be the point of use, abuse, curiosity, interest, research, and comparison within the wider world. So alongside the rightful critiques of calling Esther a pick-me and everything in general to do with Under the Influence, I am also just not surprised that in order to validate her sexual appeal and, you know, her positioning as a woman, she put black women down in order to do so, specifically black women bodies.
Now, I'm a little late into cutting the cake, but that's okay. I still got a slice. There's this Asian creator named Esther who was on a podcast and made a very racist statement and stereotypical comment about black women. They are called Under the Influence Podcast, an Asian group. Now, I absolutely love the Asian community. I grew up with them, but these guys and Esther, they need to get straightened out. Esther claims that she read something online stating that black women have larger vajayjays because black men have larger... Because black men have larger D's, that's why black women have looser and wider vajayjays. Yeah, she said that. But it gets even more ludicrous. She continues to say that Asian women's vajayjays are tighter because Asian men's PPs are tiny. There were 2 other women and 4 other men in that podcast. Not only the 4 Asian men agreed with her saying, yeah, that makes sense, but the other Asian woman who was sitting beside her kept her mouth shut. Congratulations, Esther. You successfully created another false stereotype about black and Asian women, and now I already know that white Americans are going to use this as an advantage to not only stereotype, but dehumanize, hypersexualize, and fetishize black and Asian women for what they have down there. This is not the black and Asian unity, the solidarity that we should be promoting. Black and Asian women has been constantly hypersexualized and fetishized for over 100 years by the Western world, and more specifically by the Western white men in society. Not only that, but black women has been constantly stereotyped into being sexual beings when going overseas to different countries like Japan, South Korea, or even China, for example. And even in some European countries like France, Germany, Russia, Romania, etc. Because for some reason, a handful of men within those countries conjured up the stereotype that black women likes to have sex with everybody. And you making that statement just made it 1,000 times worse for them. Congratulations, you fucking idiot. I'm not done with you yet. I'm still cooking. Not only that you reinforce the stereotype that black men have large PPs and Asian men have small PPs, but you also had the audacity to throw your own Asian women under the bus. You should be well versed of the fetishization that Asian women go through on a daily basis. Asian women constantly gets fetishized by the Western world, mainly from white men. As these old white devils preaching their American dollar and trying to bring home young Asian women so they can marry and do whatever the fuck they want to do with them. But then again, it's no longer surprising because they have been doing that shit since the late 1800s, ever since they opened their border for Chinese immigrants. Asian women are constantly fetishized for their features, their actions, their way they carry themselves, and even their culture. And other underlining and concerning stereotypes like being submissive, quiet, and obedient. Or how Asian women are weak, fragile, and defenseless. But don't leave just yet. I'm still cooking. I'm actually quite disappointed in the men on both sides, black and Asian. I haven't seen any black or Asian men defending their women from this bullshit of a stereotype. Why in the fuck are you guys so quiet? Why? And these middle-aged white dudes are eating it the fuck up. I only see black and Asian women calling this out. Only the women. The men on the subject is non-fucking existent. And y'all motherfuckers wonder why and get mad when black and Asian women date outside the race. Isn't it obvious? It's because their own fucking men doesn't even defend them. Have you seen what's going on in Korea? They stopped dating their own men. It's because their men are pieces of shit. Then their own men get mad when they date outside their race. It's because of your own fucking actions. They're doing the same thing in some African countries. Nigeria, South Africa, and in Egypt, for example. Was it worth it making that misogynistic comment about you and other women? Seriously, we gotta do better. And for the men out there who hasn't said shit, y'all niggas definitely gotta do better because the silence is not helping.
Hi, my name is Yana. I was raised by gynecologists and obstetricians since I was like 8 years old. Okay, my mom is really good at her job, whatever, and has taught me reproductive health since I was young. That being said, I have a lot of background knowledge when it comes to reproductive health and gynecology in general. I am not in the human field, okay? I don't do human med, but I do know a lot about reproductive health and the issues that surround it, okay? I'm here to help educate people like Esther who don't know these things, because quite literally, some people just really don't know these things because of education, of their location, like geographically. I don't know where Esther is originally from, but some school systems just don't teach you things, and people will believe whatever they see on the internet. And unfortunately, like, there's not much you can do about that except for educate people. And I would like to educate people because I love education. Anyways, reproductive health, right? So the problem is that most doctors actually still think that way. They think that way, where they do say, oh, Black women don't need much pain medication during labor because they have big hoo-haws and they can easily pull out a baby. They don't need my help. They're gonna help at the last fucking second. So that being said, the death rate of women in labor and X, Y, and Z, even with certain types of, I would say STDs too, for Black women is a lot higher than it is for non-Black women. So white women, Latinos, etc. It's a lot higher for Black women because a lot of people still believe in this one fucking doctor who they named the fucking whatchamacallit, what is he called, the godfather of gynecology. His name was like James Mariam Sims. Okay, this man was from Alabama and he experimented on black women, okay? He experimented on them doing like C-sections and shit like that, okay? From like the 1845 to like 1880s and shit like that. So a very, very long time ago. Everything that we know about modern gynecology today, we have to thank Black women for, because they did not consent to giving their lives to this, okay? They lost their fucking lives because of a doctor just like this, okay? A doctor just like this, basically experimenting on them with no anesthetics, okay? Being like, she has a big hoo-ha, she can birth. Oh, I'm gonna cut her open with no anesthesia because she doesn't feel pain. These doctors literally thought that they don't feel pain. And if you talk to modern Black women today and you ask them what happened in the labor and delivery room, you know, they have horror stories. Of course they have horror stories, because doctors don't listen to Black women when it comes to pain tolerance. And it's because of thoughts like that women have big hoo-ha so she can birth easy, or she Black so she don't feel pain like us. Oh my God. But get a woman of the caucus in there. It's a different fucking story. You know that Black women die in labor 69.9% versus white women who die at 26.9%. So this is per 100,000 people. So take that number. That is 2.6 times higher. Black women die 2.6 times higher at a rate than white women do during labor and post-labor too, because hemorrhaging happens, and a lot of people don't think about hemorrhaging post-labor. Anyways, those are my fun facts. Thank Black women today for modern gynecology. Oh, and thank Puerto Rican women who gave you modern birth control, because we all fucked them up. America. For birth control. And now a lot of women have generational issues in Puerto Rico. The women of Puerto Rico have a lot of generational issues with their endocrine system because of the experimental birth control. So go think a woman today.
I am currently reading Self-Care for Black Women. This is the author's name, right?
I got it from Target. And I want y'all to know that this book has great material in it and is so good for Black women. And in response to the Esther racism that was spewed on that podcast, I'm going to read y'all one of the passages called Stop Educating People on Racism. We're not going to do that, okay? I got kids, so that's what you hear in the background. Talking about racism is hard. Living through racism is painful. The burden of concerns related to diversity, equity, and inclusion seems to always fall on the shoulders of non-whites, especially Black women. We are often asked with the hard labor of sharing our race-related traumas while creating solutions to fix the system that created racism. Make it make sense. And as more people seem to become aware of their own racial bias and ignorance, we may also be asked to educate folks on how they can be anti-racist. We ain't doing that. I added that part. Don't do it. It's not your job to teach someone how to see Black people as human beings. Humans, okay? It is not your job to provide someone with the resources to not judge your skin color. It's not, I lost my plate, okay? It's not your job to teach people how to be better humans. You may find it tempting to help those who are trying to be less racist, but honey, the emotional labor that comes with this kind of personal work is excessive. Excessive. Okay. Stop trying to teach them. First off, release any responsibility you feel you have with educating non-Blacks in your circle about their anti-Blackness. I ain't got that problem because they ain't in my circle. And if you're ever approached with, how can I do better? Say nothing. We silent, okay? We are silent. Say nothing because they meant what they said and what they did. I added that part too. But if you must say something, tell them they will need to go on their own quest for themselves without you. This is a trip by yourself, okay? You going on that trip by yourself. Added that part too. Racism is nothing new. Okay. Black people fighting for their civil rights is nothing new. If someone is just becoming aware of the system created to oppress non-whites, then that's their problem, not yours. Get into this book. Self-care for Black women. Get into this book. It's not our job. And if we see these people of color being racist towards us, it's not our job to teach them because they know. They know they're being racist. Let's not even play. They know they're being racist and they simply do not care. It's 2024. If you're racist, it's because you want to be. That's how I see it. If you're racist in 2024, it's literally because you have not done the work. You don't want to do the work. And it's not our problem. Okay, Black women gonna still be over here looking good. Okay, we're gonna still be over here successful, living our soft lives, being the most educated in the country. We're gonna continue to do what we do best. Okay. So yeah, if you're thinking about educating anybody on this Esther situation or educating Esther about not being racist towards Black women and Black people, because she also brought up Black men as well, don't do it. Okay? Bye, y'all.
Black women, leave the Kung Fu Pandas alone. By Kung Fu Pandas, I'm referring to Meng Ling and her breed, okay, on the Under the Influence podcast. In fact, I agree with them, because last time I checked, or as far as anyone can see, no pun intended, everything is small about them. Their eyes, they literally come in miniature sizes. Their whole appearance is small. So obviously, their unfortunate cookies are going to have to fit the rest of their miniature lifestyle and their miniature bodies, okay? I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like puberty crosses the road each time it sees Asian people, you know, walking in its direction. Kind of like how white women cross the road when they see a Black man walking towards them, unless he's an NFL player. Yeah. So everything about them is small. I mean, I feel like that was God's plan. Not only for Asian men's small packages, again, no pun intended, because everything about them, you know, is miniature, was clearly modeled to fit into their supposedly tiny holes. I say supposedly because how are we so sure? I mean, they're known to, you know, sell themselves real cheap to white men who fetishize them. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And before anybody says to me, oh, but Moon, you can't call her Meng Ling, we don't know if she's Chinese. That's a good point, and guess what? Neither do I. As far as I know, they all look the same to me. They're like the Minions, right? You can't tell them apart unless they're dressed differently. In fact, oftentimes I can't even tell them apart from their men because they all look like, I don't know, like 15, 17-year-old. I don't know. They all look alike to me. They're like the Minions, right? And also they're everywhere, like the Minions. See, I live in Europe, and if you go to the tourist sites, they're everywhere, right? The white people who they so badly want to fit in with, and they feel like the cheat code is to disrespect Black people, and in particular Black women, don't really like to see them there unless they want to fuck them. But yeah, they're everywhere, kind of like the Minions. They're like overpopulated and what have you. But yeah, I mean, no, and this is no shade. I'm not, you know, throwing any shots, because God forbid I come on here as the angry Black woman bullying the ants of the human race. I mean, let's face it, like ants, they're the tiniest and the most hardworking. See, I can be nice, right? And give credit where it's due. They're so tiny, so minuscule, like miniature, little, whatever the hell they are. Now, I don't think they see this from my point of view, because I don't think their eyes are big enough to see things on a grand scale, right? Yeah, I don't be mad at them. Everything about them is small, indeed. Last time I checked, I don't see women of any race risking their lives and their health going to plastic surgeons' offices trying to look like them. But I do know that most women, including women from their groups, especially in the Western world, model their bodies after black women because their gods on earth, white women, basically do that. So in order to fit in with the Regina Georges, they copy this blackfishing behavior of getting themselves nipped and tucked, literally going to get cut up to have features that we naturally have, but that they weirdly disrespect us for, you know? And granted, some of you will say, but Moon, what about the Fox eye trend? Well, I don't see black women participating in that, or, you know. However, I will say that the Fox eye surgery does not involve getting eyelids removed. So you see, it's all arguable. That's pretty arguable. It is. Yeah, I mean, that's really what I have to say. I don't disagree with them. They are tiny, you know. And you see, disrespecting black women is, it's like this typical cheat code that they feel that they can utilize in hopes that someday in 2000 and never, the Regina Georges will give them a seat at their table as ordained white folks due to their phenotypical proximity to whiteness, you know, lighter skin, straight hair, and what have you. However, judging by what we recently observed, you know, with the whole affirmative action situation, where, I mean, you'd think that these people are, since we're talking about stereotypes, you know, they are sexualizing, hypersexualizing black women, which is another known stereotype against us, or aimed at us. They're stereotyped to be smart. So I'd hope they were at least smart enough not to fall for the trap that their white gods set for them. You know, it seems that their eyes clearly are too small to see that that whole affirmative action scheme was really just a plot to essentially have them buried in the very hole that they were used to dig for black students in the Ivy League colleges. So even in terms of smartness, it appears that it doesn't always apply. But you know what, Ming Ling? This is what I really have to say, right, to you and the rest of Jackie Chan's relatives. Jackie Chan, I love Rush Hour, by the way. I love Chris Tucker on Rush Hour. He's amazing. But this is what I have to say. It is so unfortunate that your cookies, like when you look at the case of your cousin, Jeannie Mai, it is so unfortunate how her, what do we call it, Hello Honey, was not tight enough to keep her first husband, you know, that white man who left her sushi coochie for the mayo coochie. And it sure as hell was not tight enough to keep a black man from making her just another single mother preference, or preferred single mother. Cheers to you and your tight cooch.
So, Under the Influence podcast was talking about how black women are loose down there. Black women have loose flower. Y'all know what a flower is. A girl's flower. Yes, a girl's flower. They were talking about how they're loose. I just have a question to my black girls. Is it true? I'm just like, how is an Asian woman talking about black women's flower being loose? Maybe she's looking at her eyes and she feels insecure about her eyes being so small. So she's like, okay, well, let me pick something that I feel like other women will be insecure about. Or maybe she feels like a lot of black girls nowadays, they're dating Asian men. And maybe they're stealing Asian men due to the looseness of your flower down there, guys. Black women, stay away from Asian men, because if you do not, Asian women will come for y'all and talk about how y'all are not tight down there. You know, the only people that can confirm this are people that are married to Black men that are married to Asian women and Asian men that are married to black women. They're the only people that can confirm this. We cannot confirm this. Even y'all yourself cannot confirm it. Okay? Because y'all can't do anything to your flower. But that's so funny though. Sorry. I'm sorry. Dear black women, I'm so sorry. But your flower is loose down there. Go and fix it. The only thing is we don't got a BBL for that. Next.
Are known to have larger, so therefore the women have
That makes sense.
bigger. And then you have
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Okay, so that is the clip in question. Now, it seems like Esther had her instincts intact when she was talking about this. She said, you know what, we may need to cut this out. They didn't end up cutting it out. It did get posted, and now it's gone viral. And you know what? I don't think this is a conversation that necessarily needs to be cut out. In listening to her, it sounded like she was just curious about this topic, wanted to bring up the conversation, had heard this bit of information somewhere, and wanted to go back and forth talking about it. I don't see anything particularly wrong with that. It didn't seem like she was making fun of black women or trying to bring them down, being derogatory in any way, shape, or form. She might have been saying an ill-informed comment, which we're going to get to in just a little bit, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having these types of conversations. And the fact that she mentions, maybe we should cut this out and just, have the conversation outside of putting it in the podcast is sort of telling. These are conversations that amongst friends, we can talk about private things. We can talk about these sorts of ideas that we may have or have heard and discuss the validity of them back and forth. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think she was trying to vocalize her disdain for black women or say that they're lesser than or make any sort of derogatory comparison between black women and other women.
Now, you guys have every one of them there, but there was one woman who was so defensive of what this lady has said, making it seem like, oh, she didn't say anything wrong. She was just, saying she saw it somewhere. The fact that you saw it somewhere doesn't make it okay, because this is a controversial conversation. How dare you sit down and say, oh, because the black men have it big, so therefore the black women also have it big. If she's feeling insecure about certain things about her body or whatever, don't come and project it on black women. Now, I'm not going to go crazy like some of those who have spoken and say, oh, you're hurting me, you're doing this to me. Because she said black women in general, and it is wrong in every way. And if you think there's nothing wrong with what she has said because she saw it somewhere and it makes it okay for her to just come out and blab nonsense and yant nonsense, I don't even know the entirety of that conversation that they were having, but I can tell you for a fact that what she said there is wrong. And if there's anyone coming out to say, oh, what she has said is not wrong, it's okay, it makes it okay, then we need to check you, girl. We need to check you, because make it make sense. Make it make sense that they naturally have black, like they naturally have big coochies. Like, make it make sense. Like, it's, I don't know. Guys, you think that, we're just ranting over nothing, or this makes sense? Make you understand, because make me understand right now, because for me, I feel like it's a stupid talk that shouldn't even make it to a podcast. It shouldn't. I mean, if you know it's so sensitive, why didn't they cut it out? They wanted the drama, and they are getting that drama that they wanted. Trust me, they're getting it. Anyway, guys, this is all I have to say concerning this. But I want to hear what you think about all of this. Leave your thoughts with me in the comment section. Feel free to give this video a big thumbs up. Leave your thoughts with me, because I enjoy interacting with you guys in the comment section. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye for now.